Working, sir.
Working, sir.
All of you?
Working, sir.
All of
sir.
us working.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Just a minute. I'm just trying to share the screen, just wait. Anything is visible on the screen?
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Visible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
But visible, khali. Ebe it is visible?
Yes, sir.
Is
Yes,
it
sir.
visible as a PPT or slide show ହିସାବରେ ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି ନା slide ଗୁଡା ଦେଖାଯାଉଛି?
The slides, sir, ଦେଖା ଯାଉଛି.
Slide ଦେଖାଉଛି। Slide slow ହଉଛି, slide slow ହଉଛି।
Slide slow ହଉଛି, show ହଉଛି ତ?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
ହଁ, ହଁ।
Sir, yes, sir.
This is the first module. We have 10 classes. 8 for me, 8 classes I think will be online and 2 will be offline. So we have to finish 5 modules in 10 days. So it's a Herculean task. I will touch upon the points. Then I will give you the PDF of the file. I will share it to Madam Rosmi Madam को देवी, Rosmi Madam आपन को share कर दो। Rosmi Madam के जानते
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Our DDC ର Rosmi Madam, she will share.
Okay, sir.
ତ ସେଇଟା ହେଲା କଥା ଆଉ and in case you have sometime you can ask and जो मानकर please all of you should switch off your mic, otherwise it will be a problem. Please switch off your mic. No noise, So first is, this is the outline of your first module. We have to give an overview of the corporate governance, historical perspective, then what are the issues in corporate governance, theory and practice of corporate governance, concept of corporation, and corporate concept of governance and good governance. Then there are two theories, agency and stewardship. Then another is, last one is shareholder versus stakeholder. What is a corporate? Any idea? I have given some definition, but if you can define something, anyone who is interested. Corporate is a very big organization. It's not a one-man show.
Organization running through many different peoples. Sir, organization in where there are many type of people running the one business model.
Many types of people running.
No. There are people, but having some different sections. Like someone from having different jobs to do.
Yes, so who are writing and using, I don't know what else. Online class रे किसी भल की हुए नहीं. Red line में क्या पकेला? Okay, so let us not bother about that. Please switch off your mic. Whosoever is not answering, please switch off your mic. ठीक है, discipline रे कले जाएगी पाठ हबो. आ एठी तो गप्प करिया को आछन ताले तो किछि लाभ नहीं. All of you should follow a discipline.
ସାର୍ କହି କହି ଥକି ଗଲାଣି କେହି ଶୁଣୁନାହାନ୍ତି ଆପଣଙ୍କ ସାଇଡରୁ ଆପଣ ମ୍ୟୁଟ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ ସମସ୍ତଙ୍କୁ।
Admin କିଏ ଅଛନ୍ତି ଏଠି?
You are also co-host.
ହୁଁ?
You are also co-host. You can do.
ହୁଁ। ଏଠି ତ କିଏ ଅପସନ କିଛି ଜଣା ପଡୁନି କୋଉଠି କରିବ ସାଉଣ୍ଡ।
सर ଆପଣ sir back କରନ୍ତୁ ଯୋଉଠି Zoom meeting କୁ sir.
I think we have less time, so we should rather focus on completing the first one.
Sir Zoom meeting ରେ ହିଁ setting ରେ option ଅଛି sir.
ଆରେ ବାବା ଜୁମ୍ ମିଟିଂ ରେ ତ ମୁଁ ଅଛି। ଜୁମ୍ ମିଟିଂ ସେଟିଂ ରେ ଅପସନ ଟା ତ ସେଇଟା ତ ଦେଖାଯାଉନି। ମୁଁ ତ ସେଇଥିରେ ଯାଉଥିଲି ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରୁଛି।
ସ୍ନେହଲତା ପ୍ରଧାନ, ଉତ୍ତମ କୁମାର ବିଶ୍ୱାଳ ମ୍ୟୁଟ କରିଦିଅନ୍ତୁ, ବାକି ସମସ୍ତେ ମ୍ୟୁଟ।
ସାର୍ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କରନ୍ତୁ ସାର୍।
ହେଇଗଲା?
କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କଥା କରନ୍ତୁ,
ହୁଁ?
ଆପଣ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କରନ୍ତୁ, ସେ ହେଇଯିବ ଆଉ।
କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ କର ବୋଲି ଖାଲି କହିଲେ କଣ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ ହବ କି? ତମମାନେ ସବୁ କିଏ ଗୋଟେ ଟିକେ ଡିସିପ୍ଲିନ ଫଲୋ କଲେ ଯାଇକି କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ ହବ, ନହେଲେ କଣ୍ଟିନ୍ୟୁ ହବନି।
ସେ ରଙ୍ଗଲି କାର ହାତ ବଧ ହେଇ
It's not a mechanical thing. Class is हमको बहुत सीरियसली क्लास टाକୁ ନେଲେ ଯାଇକି ହବ। ଆଉ ଖାଲି ନା କୁ କ୍ଲାସ କରୁଛୁ କହିଲେ କିଛି ଲାଭ ନାହିଁ। ବୁଝିପାରିଲ? ଆମେ ତ ସେମିତି କ୍ଲାସ କଲେ ଆଉ କରିବା କଣ? ଓକେ। ସେୟାରିଂ ଏବେ ବି ହଉଛି?
Yes, sir.
Yes sir.
ସ୍ଲାଇଡ ଟା ଦେଖା ଯାଉଛି ତ?
Yes sir.
ଓକେ। So ଆମେ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ଥିଲେ will talk about what is a corporate. Corporate is a ସ୍ଲାଇଡ ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହଉଛି କି ନାହିଁ ମତେ ଟିକେ କହିବ। ମୁଁ କରୁଛି, ଯଦି ଚେଞ୍ଜ ହେଲା ଠିକ ଅଛି, ନହେଲେ ମତେ କହିଲେ then I will again try. Corporate is a
sir change hochi.
corporate is a big conglomerate. Corporate cannot be a small company. Small company in the sense ki if a company is located in one location with a very few number of people, no organized structure, then it cannot be called as a corporate. It can be a proprietorship or a ownership company like anybody small company can be that. So for being a corporate, you have to remember imagine companies like Tata, Birla, and Reliance, then ArcelorMittal, and there are many big Apple, then your Microsoft. These are big companies which is diversified geographically. Then there may be a case where companies are producing different products. There may be cases where they are located in various countries. There may be cases where they are offering various services in other different countries. They are offering different services. So it's a complicated or complex business house, you can say. And I have given some definition which once you get this PDF, you can read. Now, that is the concept of a corporate. Now, when you talk of a corporate, it can't be driven by somebody's whims and fancies. It has to operate through a set of rules and regulations. This will not, the corporate cannot be managed by persons out of their own will. No, they have to follow certain rules and regulations. They have to establish some principles, guidelines, rules, and then everybody has to follow. In corporate, the manager or the leader doesn't really matter much if the rules are in or the systems are in place, because they are independent of the person who is driving that system. It can be the system only needs somebody to operate it, but the system is there. So it can operate irrespective of who is in charge. But if you have a better corporate leader, if you have a better managing director, if you have a efficient chairman, then the performance of the company may change. But if at all there are, if the chairman or MD or even the leader or the manager are not very efficient, still, if it is a corporate, then it can run. You can get an example of a country like India or any other country. Irrespective of who is there on the helm of the affair, minimum basic work of the government goes on. Even when there are no formal government, when there is no formal government, still the work doesn't stop. In every country, this is there. So this is what a corporate means. I think, I hope I have made it clear. Next point is governance. What is governance? When we talk of governance, what comes to your mind? Governance is how the rules and regulations are implemented. The quality of implementation of the system in place. Understood?
Yes, sir.
So the leader can make a difference in governance, quality of governance. The manager can make a difference in quality of governance. Even though the system is there, same system has been there, two different managers can bring in two different results because of their difference in governance. So it is the way that organizations or countries are managed at the highest level, and the system for doing this as per Cambridge Dictionary. That is the definition. It also represents the norms, values, rules through which a public affair are managed in a manner that is transparent, participatory, inclusive, and responsive. When you read about corporate governance, you will find the use of these words like transparent, participatory, inclusive, and responsive. I don't know if all of you are clear about these words. What is transparent?
It should be clear and understood by all.
Yeah, it is clear. There is no discrepancy.
No ambiguity and no discrepancy.
Yeah. Rules are there. They are implemented without any ambiguity and any discrimination. So it is there for everybody to evaluate. Because you have nothing to hide. What you are doing is as per rules. Then it is transparent. Then participatory. All of the people who are involved participate in the decision making. Inclusive. Again, inclusive means the rules and regulations and the governance mechanism takes care of the last person on the line. That is inclusive. When everybody's need is catered to or grievances are addressed. Okay. And in responsive is the time to respond is quick. When there is a problem, the response is there. You will be able to imagine how badly governed we are as a country in many aspects, and in some aspects we are properly governed also. When you put a call for a after sale service or on for something, if it is a new thing, people will come, and if it is an old thing, people may not come. So there are many examples. The responsiveness is one big factor. Nowadays, if you see Blinkit, Instamart, then earlier it was Big Basket, BB Now. the USP is how quickly they can deliver. The first thing when you open that app is, I'm delivering in your locality in so and such minutes. Now it has come from half an hour to 14 minutes to 8 minutes to 6 minutes, something like that. So that is called responsiveness. If there is a need and that need is satisfied as quickly as possible. So that is also one aspect of governance. Then I have given some more definitions of corporate governance. And corporate governance in a company will involve or will take care of all the stakeholders. Who are the stakeholders? They are shareholders, senior management, executives, customers, suppliers, financier, government, and the community. So all of these are stakeholders of a company. So corporate governance will take care of all these people. So it is not only senior management executives, it is even all employees of that company. Then we will go to, I have to skip some of the slides. I will give you this hard copy so you can read whenever it is, when you get that. After completion of a module, I will give it to Rashmi Madam and she will circulate. And in case anyone has any doubt, please, you can ask me. No issue on that. Now, corporate governance, historical perspective. Historical perspective means how corporate governance came into existence or how corporate governance became a subject of management. That is what is the study for this module or that in this section. And corporate governance is a very new subject. It has started somewhere in 1992 in an organized way.
Sir.
Any question?
Sir, yes, sir.
ठीक है जोर रे कहले सुना बिल्कुल सुना जाओनी कथाटा.
Sir, there is a question. The corporate governance is where is it actually used in a
ଏବେ
day-to-day?
ବି ଶୁଣା ଯାଉନି ମତେ ଠିକରି. I'm unable to hear you clearly, please.
Sir, is it audible, sir?
Now it is audible. କାଇଁ କୋଉଟେ ମୁହଁରେ କଣ ରଖିକି କହୁଥିଲେ ନା କଣ?
ନାଇଁ sir, earphones ଟିକେ କାମ କରୁନି.
ଏଗୁଡା ତ ବୁଡେଇଲା ଆଉ. କୁହନ୍ତୁ.
Sir, corporate governance, how मतलब in a day-to-day organization, ସେଟାକୁ ଆମେ ଡେଲିକା ବେସିସ୍ ସେଟାକୁ ସାର୍ ଆମକୁ ରିକ୍ୱାରମେଣ୍ଟ ପଡୁଛି କି?
ସେଟା ଆପଣ କହିପାରିବେ? ଆପଣ ଚାକିରି କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
ନାଇଁ sir,
ଆଉ କଣ କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
business only.
ବିଜନେସ କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
ଆଜ୍ଞା.
କୋଉ ବିଜନେସ କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
Sir, battery and inverter and solar equipments, sir. Battery inverter and solar equipments.
କରୁଛନ୍ତି?
ଆଜ୍ଞା.
ଆପଣ କଣ କରନ୍ତି? ବନାନ୍ତି ନା ସପ୍ଲାଇ କରନ୍ତି ଖାଲି?
And supply and demand, government supplies and all.
ଆପଣ ମତେ କହିଲେ ଯେ କର୍ପୋରେଟ ଗଭର୍ନାନ୍ସ ଡେ ଟୁ ଡେ ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଲାଇଫ ରେ ହୁଏନି?
सर हुए किंतु सर एबे जोडा मु एटा पढुचे ଆମେ जोडा पढुचे एकना सर एटा माने एटा हम कोडा पर माने एटा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन ऊपर कथा छ ना का पर सेटा हम बुझ गनो कहूची
स्टाफ बुझियलानी क्वेश्चन टा टिके आउट क्लियर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन आ स्टाफ ना कोन पचले
आया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रे एटा हमें कहले मु हम डे टू डे लाइफ रे सर एटा इंप्लीमेंट करि परिबु किंतु हमें रिलेट करि परछ किंतु जोडा आपे एटा बुझुची कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस कॉर्पोरेट रे माने कोन एटा कंपनी बेसिस रे कहउचंती
कॉर्पोरेट रो डेफिनेशन पर कहली प्रथम रु जे कॉर्पोरेट इज ए बिग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इट्स ए कंपनी व्हेन यू टॉक ऑफ रिलायंस इंडस्ट्री इट्स ए कॉर्पोरेट टाटा ग्रुप इज टाटा टिस्को जेमती इज ए कॉर्पोरेट इवन इपिकॉल इज ए कॉर्पोरेट इटको इज ए कॉर्पोरेट आपनकर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन may not be a corporate because you are a small organization, but suppose you are buying solar panels from Wari is a corporate, Bikram Solar is a corporate. Your company has not become a corporate, it's only it's a small company, but you will have governance, yes or no?
Yes sir,
because you will have certain rules. जो चार्टा एम्प्लॉय थांतु कि कॉन्ट्रैक्चुअल एम्प्लॉय थांतु जहां थांतु if there is a work there is a procedure to implement it, there is a way to pay them, there is a minimum thing you have to take care of, there is a also when you supply there is a question of warranty, guarantee, after sale service and all that, so that involves governance. if you do not deliver, what will happen to your business? Business कौन हवा जदि आपण ठीक करी काम करिवेनी?
Yes, sir, I understand, sir.
collapse ହେଇଯିବ।
ହଁ ଆଉ ଆପଣଙ୍କର बिजनेस को बंचेबा को हेले you have to put in certain systems, certain procedures, rules, regulations, so that all your customers are, or whatever work you are doing is done in a uniform way. Kali Sokale, if there is a issue with your work, you should be in a position to justify or manage it. So that is where governance, see, the subject is corporate governance, but when you talk of governance, governance is there everywhere. You have to, whether it's a small company, big company, governance will be an issue. And why we are reading corporate governance? Because there are many rules and regulations relating to operations of bigger companies. Smaller companies need not follow everything. Okay. Whose question was this?
Yes, sir, I was, sir.
Shiv.
Sir.
तमे कौन को कंपनी तमर अछि?
Sir, Exide and Luminous.
Exide and Luminous. So you have taken dealership from them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So is it clear? Now when you talk of corporate governance, think of Exide, think of Luminous as a company.
Yes, sir.
Then you will find whether they are well governed or not governed. You will face problem if they are not properly governed. You will not face problem if they are well governed. If they have a rule in place, if they have corporate governance in place, you will have lesser issues with the company. If they are not having corporate governance in place, you will have many issues with that company. You will be confused in every transaction you do with them. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And you can compare with the corporate governance of Exide and Luminous to understand in a better way.
Sir.
ମୁଁ ଜାଣିନି ବୁଝିଲ କି नहीं? खाली yes sir तो କହିଲ ବୁଝିଲ କି नहीं ମୁଁ ଜାଣିନି.
Sir, बुझिल sir.
Okay. So historical perspective re, this is a very new subject. This has started somewhere in 1992. Before that, there were corporations all over the world. Big companies have been there and they have been operating in an organized way. But in those days, the organizations were following their own standards of governance. That is why there was no subject in management as corporate governance at that point of time. That is why no recorded or there was no research, there was no advisory on that. But as worldwide business improved, the economy grew, there were issues faced. Issues were basically faced in fraud. And in business, that people started doing fraud or taking undue advantages. People started taking out money from business, which affected the stakeholders. Now, suppose, how many of you are aware that many companies in Orissa also became NPA, non-performing assets? Are you aware what is NPA?
No, sir.
NPA कौन जाना चाहिए?
No, sir.
When you take a loan from a bank and you don't repay for a particular period of time, then you are declared as a non-performing asset for that bank. Means bad debt, bad loan. Now, there were instances that many people took money from the market, took money from bank, started a company, made some profit, made extra money, and then they closed that company. Examples are, in Orissa, we have many examples. कौन example Orissa रे अछि? मने अछि कि जी? पुणी तम voice कुआडे कुआडे
Sahara India.
हाँ, सारा चिट फंड आमर जेते सीसोर आउ केते बहुत प्रकार चिट फंड सब.
Yes, yes.
तापरे yes bank.
Konark TV.
Konark TV was mismanaged. It was a government company and it was mismanaged. Lack of governance, agreed. but there was no scam as such. That was not managed professionally. Otherwise, it was making a lot of profit and it was a very good company. Konarka TV is a failed story of government of Orissa. But Seashore, and there are many other scams, cheat funds. Then Satyam Computers was a big failure of corporate governance, where Ramalinga Raju tried to make money, take out money. Recently, Bhushan Steel in Jharsuguda and in Meramandali, 34,000 crores of money were taken as loan. 54,000 crores money was taken as loan and not refunded. Public money got wasted. So these are all cases of failed corporate governance examples. So when in 1992 in UK, when there were some failures in corporations, then UK government, they constituted a committee called as Cadbury Committee. Their chairman was Mr. Cadbury of that committee in 1992. And then in US, there was similar thing, National Association of Corporate Directors in 1995. These committees or these groups brought out guidelines and codes for formal implementation of corporate governance. Because when we talk of corporate governance, when we talk of some guidelines to follow, if you do not give a proper clear guideline, many small companies or corporates may not be able to, on their own, may not be able to devise and see. So that is why government thought and the industry bodies thought that they have to find out, formulate a set of guidelines or at least codes so that everybody can follow easily. And then in Southeast Asia and East Asia, in 1997 and 98, this South Korea, Thailand, and Vietnam, and not Vietnam, South Korea and Thailand mainly. These two countries, they were soaring high, but they faced some economic problems during 97-98. There was a recession in their economy. And that was again because of fraud or scams in those countries. And those frauds or scams took place because there were no guideline for governance. There were no institutions to look after governance. There was no systems led by governments to oversee such big corporations. Their utilization of money and their reporting and all that. In India, there have been many scams. It started from Harshad Mehta scam, and that was the turning point for starting of corporate governance in India. The main reasons behind above failures, means the economic failures of big corporates, was because of transaction between companies, banks and financial institutions and capital markets. Nirav Modi case, anyone is aware? Mehul Choksi and Nirav Modi?
Yes, sir. PNB scam.
Se kaun kale se? What he did? Any idea? No idea. Actually, he was taking some loan type of thing for importing diamonds and all. As per rules, if you take a loan, bring in diamond, then you must repay before taking another loan. But because he could manage some of the officials of PNB, he took various loans without repaying the previous one. And that is how the bank lost money. This was again a failure of the system of that bank. So similar thing happened everywhere. People are big, because big companies, big corporates cannot operate on their own money. They need loans from banks, financial institutions, investment from public. That is why capital market comes. Then if you have sister companies and you try to pass on the profit to them, so which may affect the shareholders and banks. Now Satyam Computers, why it failed? Because Ramalinga Raju had another construction company called Mitas. And what he did is, he funneled out money from Satyam, which was doing well, to fund projects of Mitas. He got a big order for some airport overbridge, 18 kilometer or something, or 30 kilometer, 20 kilometer something. And he took out money from Satyam illegally to fund that project and make Mitas profitable. And that is why he first the balance sheet and profit and loss account of Satyam Computers in collaboration with the auditors, and that is how that company failed. The other area of concern for corporate governance are corporate laws. In India, the Companies Act was 1956, was originally made in 1956. Then it was amended from time to time. But in 2013, this was overhauled. Complete overhaul of that law has been done. After 2013, there are some amendments, but so that in these amendments, the guidelines, stricter guidelines have been laid down for companies to follow who want to take money from public or listed companies, and that is how the corporate governance thing are in place. Then bankruptcy procedures and practices. In India, this has taken place after the formation of NCLT and SCALT. All that is there. Earlier, it was like bankruptcy case where there was a restructuring committee or board, like for Sikh industry. And that was a very failed procedure. It didn't help. It was like, people will take loan, they become NPA, then the banks and all will sit down and they will again relay the loan repayment period, etc. and etc. Give some incentive, and again the company will fail because the company were not performing well. So that is how they become NPA, and many banks lost money. So all that has been removed, and a Insolvency and IBR Act has come, which is now helping to some extent. But one of the fallout of IBR Act is the case of JSW taking over Bhushan Steel and Power in Jharsuguda. JSW has taken over that plant 4 years ago through NCLT and NCALT, but due to some procedure lapse, Supreme Court has now void that decision of takeover by JSW. So now everything is back to square one. There will be, it will be now liquidated. Means there will be auction for companies to buy. So let us see how it goes. But it is still a loss. That was a failure of the system. The structure of ownership and crony capitalism, sharp stock market fluctuations, poor board of directors showing scant regard to fiduciary responsibilities, poor disclosure and transparency, and inadequate accounting and auditing standards. Yeah, accounting and auditing standards, any one of you is aware of it or knows about accounting? Any one of you is a CA or a cost accountant? यही आपनका भितरु कॉस्ट अकाउंटेंट सीए फाइनेंस वाला लोक अरे कहीं अछंती ना क्लास इज ओवर
सर केही नाहंदी हेले बस
But
माने
CA.
आईडिया
फाइनेंस रिलेटेड कहीं नाहंती
Sir, अच्छे sir, but not CA.
ओके यू वर्क इन फाइनेंस डिपार्टमेंट
Yes, sir. Student, sir, student.
okay so accounting standard is fixed by whom in India? Accounting standards for company is decided by whom? Any idea?
No idea, sir.
It is fixed by Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ICAI. Similarly, for company secretary, there is an Institute of Company Secretary of India. These bodies are not government bodies, but they are statutory, not exactly statutory bodies, but they are very authorized body Nobody else can decide. These two bodies can decide, and they have a rules and regulations how they are formed, how they are there, and their operation is also viewed by government. And these two agencies, they fix the guidelines for like accounting standards and what a company secretary should do. The Company Act 2013 also prescribed certain things for these two bodies who fix the accounting and auditing guidelines. Now, accounting and auditing guidelines standards also form a very strong foundation for corporate governance. In a country where accounting and auditing standards are high, there is every possibility that the corporate governance will act properly. Otherwise, there is a chance that it may fail. An Indian experience of corporate governance was different from Southeast Asia and other countries. In India, the economy as a whole didn't fail. In Thailand and in South Korea, during those period 97, 98, there was a recession because of failure of many corporates, failure of the system. But in India, there were certain scams, means there were certain problem in the stock market, in some banking system, and government or people lost money, but that strengthened the industry, that made the industry work or form the guidelines. Corporate governance related steps were initiated by All India Industry and Business Associations like CII and Department of Company Affairs. Then this has become very stricter from April 2001, when listed companies are required to follow a very strict and stringent guideline. What is a listed company? Can anybody explain? Listed company
Those companies which are listed on the stock exchange.
Yes. It means it has gone through a public offer, initial public offer, IPO, where general public has invested, whose share is traded in the stock market. And for trading in stock market of a share, the company has to be listed. Now, listing is, there is an agreement between the stock exchange and the company. That agreement has certain guidelines as per law. And that agreement specifies lot of disclosure, lot of conditions for a company to be listed. And that ensures corporate governance in a way. And the major scams in India which led to improvement in corporate governance or which took place because of lack of corporate governance in practice are first and foremost was Harshad Mehta scam. How many of you are aware?
Sir, in 1992, Harshad Mehta met this.
90 also.
Yes. 1990.
Then Ketan Parekh scam in 2001. Satyam
Right.
scam in 2009.
Satyam scam 2009.
Sarda scam 2013. There is another stock exchange, a national stock exchange that was for commodity and all, that was in 2013. Rose Valley chit fund scam, Odisha chit fund scam. It is like very small investors in 20 firms. It's a long chit fund scam, but nothing happened in Odisha. They are saying the money will be refunded, some money is being refunded, but nobody knows what happens. And that is another example of lack of governance in government. When you have put committees, when you have made judicial committees to look into things, when you say that you have taken the assets of various chit funds, you have put them behind bars, still you are unable to pay to the investor. That means there is a lack of governance in the government. That is again an indication of failure of corporate governance. ଯେମିତି ଚୋରି ଗାଡି ହବ पुलिस थाना पड़िथिବ खत खाइब ओनर को दिया जाई परिबनी एनीवेयर आम इंडिया रे चोरी हेगला गला एबे कोन सुनली कोठी मोबाइल फोन बहुत गुडा रिटर्न करा हला कोउटे थाना रे somebody took initiative and they were returned. So again we know that in police, if you give a complaint, it is only for a complaint. There is really no hope he will get back something. I'm not blaming anyone, but that is what is the failure of the system. So major scam in India which led to improvement in corporate governance, it started from Harshad Mehta scam in 1990. You will see when we talk of SEBI and all, the real formal formation or power empowerment of SEBI started after Harshad Mehta scam. Now, what are the issues in corporate governance? What the corporate governance tries to solve or it focuses on? Explicit and implicit contracts between company and stakeholders for distribution of responsibilities, rights and rewards. What is a contract? Contract कहले कौन बुझो? किसी बुझो ना?
Sir, between of two parties of agreement,
Eh?
that's called contract.
Agreement between two parties.
Yes, sir.
Enforceable by law.
Yes. That is a contract. If it is not enforceable by law, it is not a contract. What is explicit contract? What is implicit contract?
Where the terms of the contracts are defined and written, that is explicit. Where it is implied only.
Can you give an example?
Sir, riding in a bus
Hmm.
is an example of implied contract where no spoken or oral or written contract is met, but it is implied that when you ride a bus, you have to pay the fare to the bus.
Okay. And what is an explicit contract? Example. Any other ride?
Contract is-
Any other ride where you have to buy a ticket, then take a ride.
Yes, sir. In
In train,
parks,
in reserve
train,
compartment of trains, in airline. Okay. And another beautiful example of implicit contract in Indian marriage, where there is no written consent, but marriages are forever. That is what in India we say. 7 जन्मों के लिए होता है. That is implicit contract. But court marriage is an explicit contract. Similarly, when you employ someone with a appointment letter or a contract, that is an explicit contract. But खाली मुंह पे बोल के employee रख दिया, that's an implicit contract. There are many implicit contracts. Like when you go to buy something from your nearby shop, what you expect? When you suppose you are asking for 500 grams, you expect that he will give you 500 grams. You have not given anything in writing. You are only saying, or if you choose a packet, something is there, you expect that much things are there. Implicit is which is not very clearly defined or written down, or it is not discussed prior to that. Explicit is everything is clear and everybody is agreeing. So in corporate governance, contracts are a big issue, and both explicit and implicit, because they help in distribution of responsibilities, rights and rewards. If you are taking an employee, you should always give a contract, employment contract. In India, you may only get an appointment letter, but when you resign, you will face a hurdle. There are so many rules and regulations, and you will have many difficulties. But in good and organized corporate governances, everything is defined before you join. Once you sign, you know that these are the things I have to go through if I have to leave or something like that. So that is one. Then procedures for reconciling the conflicting interest of stakeholders in accordance with their duties, privileges and roles, etc. Conflicting interest of stakeholder. Can anybody give an example? You are an employee in a company. What is your interest? You want the best salary and best facilities. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
You are an investor in the same company. What is your interest? You want the maximum profit.
and
Yes, sir.
dividend from the company.
Now, when you want maximum profit, one way of maximizing profit is reducing manpower cost. One way. Now there is a conflict, yes or no? Because both are stakeholders. Employee is a stakeholder, the investor is a stakeholder. So there is a conflict. Now the role of corporate governance or the issue which corporate governance addresses is how to balance these two interests, conflicting interests. How to maximize or give the best return to the investor, as well as how to give the satisfactory facilities and salary to the employees. So that is the challenge. Then procedures for proper supervision, control, and information flow to serve as a system of checks and balances. This is where the efficiency of corporate governance depends or rests. Now, in the Nirav Modi case, there were 3-4 officers on the same line who were approving the thing. So, if one officer commits a mistake, if other 3 officers or 2 officers above him fail to notice that mistake, then it's a failure of governance. That is why we have a system of checks and balances. We have a power of delegation. There is a authority, chain of authority or line of authority. All that to ensure that the faults should not pass on or the mistakes should not go unnoticed. So that is where the system or the corporate governance system will, the effectiveness of the governance system will be known. So that is another challenge corporate governance has to face. And other issues are like role of board, what the role of board in a company, quality of financial reporting and auditing, directors' remuneration, risk management, and corporate social responsibility. Now, role of board and role of directors. What is the collective role of the board and what is the individual role of directors? That is also an issue of corporate governance. We have to study about that. And fortunately, unfortunately, the laws also are very specific now. And various recommendations of committees are very specific now about the role of directors and the role of the board. Then composition and balance of board of directors means independent and executive directors. Independent directors are those who are not involved in the day-to-day operation of the company. Executive directors are those who look after the day-to-day operation of the company. Now, how to have a balance between these two? Because the role of board is very crucial for corporate governance. If you have insiders like the executive directors in majority, then they will only guide their interest. If you have independent directors, then public interest or government interest, society's interest is likely to be protected. That is why, as per law, independent directors are made mandatory. Nowadays, in India, it has also been made mandatory that we should have women director in boards. But unfortunately, in India, there are not many qualified women directors available. So that is why that compliance is not possible as of now. Then composition, then reliability of financial reporting and external auditor, shareholders' rights and responsibilities. These are the areas of corporate where we have to study to ensure proper corporate governance. Then what is the mechanism through which corporate governance can be implemented? So the mechanisms are board of directors, internal control, balancing power, and compensation. Compensation is what?
Salary to employees.
For everyone. Salary is for employees, but compensation is for everything. Salary and compensation are same. But when you talk of compensation to board of directors, it is not a salary type structure. Generally, they get something more. And compensation to board of directors runs into crores in India, in other countries also. And that is where the rules are very specific. There is a ceiling provided. Otherwise, what will happen in private companies? The owners who are directors will take most of the money and use for their own interest, neglecting the interest of small shareholders, the employees, and the company itself. So that is an area of concern, or that is where corporate governance mechanisms are very strict about. Board members are typically voted in by shareholders at annual meeting. Each director serves a set number of years, a fixed number of years. Then he has to be re-elected. And after a particular, after 2 terms of 5 years each, or something like that, a director becomes ineligible to become a director in a company. Not the executive directors, but I'm talking of the independent and other directors. The executive directors who are owners of that company, who are shareholders of that company, they can work for till the age of superannuation, which can be fixed by the board. In many companies, the chairman can work up to 70. In some companies, they can work up to 60. After that, they have to retire. And in some companies, after retirement, they are also retained as independent director to for some years. In some companies, they become executive chairman, executive directors. Executive means they don't operate as full-time, but they oversee the operations for 1 more 2 years. It all depends on but there is guidelines available in the law. And the board of directors sees the functioning of director, executive managers, create a mission, vision for the company, set compensation levels for all officers, and deal with any significant internal or external conflict. The board of directors typically comprise of individuals who do not work directly for the company generally, but many of them are full-time directors also who work for the company. In public sector companies, 4 or 5 directors are full-time directors who work on day-to-day basis. Then 3, 4, 5 directors are independent directors or nominated directors.
Yes, sir. They are functional directors or full-time directors, and
I could not
they
get you.
work for the functional directors are full-time directors who work for the company, sir.
Yeah, and they get a particular compensation, and the independent directors, they get per meeting, they get some compensation. Then next point is, one is board of directors, second is internal control. Internal control are the system of control put in place in the company. And the effectiveness of governance will depend on the efficiency of this internal control. All of you who are working will know that there is a process for taking approval. Depending on the type of expenditure or type of investment or cost, there is a guideline how to take that approval, and then has to be then the expenditure can be made. Otherwise, not. So and similarly for promotion, similarly for selecting a buyer, similarly for selecting a supplier, similarly for hiring a contract, there can be rules and regulations and controls. So all these will ensure proper corporate governance. Next is balancing of power. Balancing of power means where power is distributed well inside the company. The required authority is passed on to the managers at each level so that the functioning of the organization is smooth. Now, if you work in a big corporation, you will see there is a delegation of power. Now, delegation of power is for bigger decisions, the managing director, directors, or the chairman are approached. For smaller decisions, the smaller level executive managers take care. And then only the company can operate properly. If there is a concentration of power at the top, then people down below will become irresponsible. They will not bother. When we were going through the last government, BJD government in Orissa, कौन थिला? जने दी जन लोग खाली काम करथिले, बाकी गुडा समस्त सोइथिले. कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर मानकर भी किछि पावर नथिला. केही काहाकू पचार नथिला. So that is a concentration of power. When you balance out, everybody is authorized. Jar duty se setaku he has been given empowered to do that. Organization re seta depending on the leader it happens. Both jagare you are empowered. In many companies you are not empowered. So balancing of power is a sign of good governance. Means the management trusts on the principles or system established. So that is why they are ready to delegate power. There is ample checks and balance. to ensure that nobody can misutilize power. There are stringent systems in place to guide any, to dictate and control any deviation. Then only there can be distribution of power. When you are not sure of the controls, then there will be difficulties in getting distribution of power. Then powers become concentrated. Balancing of power is the main aim or one of the aim of corporate governance. And last part is compensation. In a performance-based type of management structure, compensation is a big thing. If you are not paid well, you will not take responsibility. Generally, that is how it goes. So compensation is a very crucial part. Then in bigger organization, there is also a chance that the directors, the executive directors, the higher management officers like CEO, CFO, COO, whosoever are there, they can take a large chunk of money and become stringent while paying to the lower managers, lower cadre officers. That is where corporate governance will again be at stake. The balancing or the distribution of wealth also has to be proper. There is no doubt that a CEO takes more responsibility and will also demand more compensation. But it doesn't mean that the worker who is taking any responsibility at the lower end should not get compensated well to meet at least his needs. So compensation is a big issue for success of corporate governance. I will just go through this slide and next class we will complete this. Theory and practice of corporate governance. There are many theories based on which corporate governance practices are planned out or can be planned. Now, one is agency theory, second is stewardship theory, then resource dependency theory, then stakeholder theory, then transaction cost theory, and last is political theory. What is agency theory? Every member employee is an agent of the company. Stewardship is, then you are a steward, means you are there to look after the company. You behave as a caretaker of the company. Resource dependency theory, that every director or executive member or employee can bring in resources required for successful operation of the company. Then stakeholder theory is, stakeholders are to be benefited to the maximum. Then transaction cost theory, every transaction made in a company has certain cost. So for success of a company, transaction cost has to be properly managed. And last is political theory. In India, this is the most applicable theory. If you are politically connected, there is every possibility that your organization will grow or you will get some scope to grow. So we'll read about this in next class. Okay. I think next teacher will come. So thank you all. See you,
Thank you, sir.
tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Tomorrow there is class in the afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Last class.
Thank you very much.
Okay, sorry.
Mouse first the